to one of your favorite advisory classes. Let's get this math going. Okay, so today we are going to continue talking about constant rate of change, y-intercept, and linear relationships. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so all of you should have this sheet. It should look familiar. We've been implementing it into your classes. Everyone is expected to show their work, show their thinking on this paper. Okay, so make sure your name is on it. I'm letting you know my screen is kind of crazy, so just bear with me and just keep it going, okay? All right, let's get started. Write the equation from the linear relationship below. Okay, so I need to write down my keywords. So we want equation. We want linear relationship. It says also an equation right here, so we know we're using y equals mx plus b. Okay, now we're going to show our thinking. When we see a graph, we want to make a table just right away. Remember, we have our x values and our y values. So looking at my graph, I'm going to start at my starting point. So my starting point is where it crosses the y-axis. And so if I look, it crosses the axis at 0, 2. Okay? Now, I'm going to go to my next point. So wherever it crosses, like at the 90-degree angle. So my next point is 4, 0. If I keep going, my next point is 8, negative 2. I could keep going if I want to, but I'm just going to stop there. All right? So now it's time for me to write my equation. I already know that my y-intercept, so my b, is anywhere that it crosses the y-axis. I know my y-intercept is going to be my starting point. So my starting point was at 0, 2. Make sure your x is at 0. So here are my equation. My b is 2. Now it's time for our constant rate of change. Remember, constant rate of change is change over y over change over x. Okay? So if I look here, how do I get from 2 to 0? I subtract 2. If I look here, how do I get from 0 to 4? I add 4. Remember, it's still change over y over change over x. So I'm going to have negative 2 over 4. Now that could be my answer, but I can simplify that. So negative 2 over 4, I can simplify it by 2. And I get negative 1/2. So my equation is negative 1/2 x plus 2. That makes sense because if I notice, this is a negative, like a negative direction. It's going down. So I know that I'm going to have a negative constant rate of change. Okay? I don't have to fill out A, B, C, or D because this wasn't a multiple choice answer. So this should be my ending. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and do the next one. Hang on, y'all. Let me get my black marker. as it fell. Okay, found it. Anyway, we're ready. Okay, so we're going to do our next problem. We're going to do this as a class, and then y'all are going to practice, okay? So if I read, it says write the equation from the linear relationship represented below. Okay, so my key words is equation, linear relationship, and we're even going to use this equation. We go y equals mx plus b. Okay, so what is the first thing I need to do? What is the first thing I need to do? I need to make a table. We always make a table when we have a graph. So right now I should be showing my thinking and making a table. Okay, so now look at your graph. Let's make our points. My first point here, this is my starting point because this is where it crosses my y-axis. If I look, that is 0, 1. Okay, if I go down, it crosses here. That's at 1, negative 1. If I keep going, it crosses here at 2, negative 3. Negative 5. Oh, I'm sorry. See, that's where I made a mistake. 3, negative 5. Okay, so let's start off with what we already know. We know that my starting point is my y-intercept. And so my starting point, where does it cross the y-axis? That has to be my b. It crosses at 0, 1. So we know that 1 has to be my b. Okay, what's our next step? Find your constant rate of change. Remember that constant rate of change is change over y over change over x. So if I go here, how do I get from 1 to negative 1? Well, I can take away 2 because 1 plus negative 2 gives me negative 1. All right, how do I get from 0 to 1? I have to add 1, okay? So I get negative 2, 1. I can always check myself and use my graph. So if I look, how do I get from this point to this point? Well, I can go down 2 and over 1. When I go down, that's a negative. So my constant rate of change is negative 2 over 1. So that means that negative 2 is going to be my constant rate of change, my slope. So my final equation is going to be y equals negative 2x plus 1. Okay, guys, now it is time for you to practice. So make sure you are showing your work on your sheet, and I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a fantastic day. Bye.